Good morning, good afternoon, maybe even good evening for some of our viewers, either on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us for another Coffee with Bob. Trying to make this into a regular bit and have been challenged constantly with technology challenges, timing challenges. Poor Dr. Dan lost power this morning, but we're working on it. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, moving forward. And Dr. Irene is been kind enough to co-host these with me because we want to focus on, all right, I'd like to focus on different health challenges, right? And we'll have different health experts on each time. So I'm very happy to welcome Dr. Irene Kopp, who most of you know I have on the show quite often because she's practically saved my life. And then we have also welcoming Dr. Dan. And Dan, I can never say your last name properly, so I'll let you go ahead and say it.
That's why everybody just says Dr. Dan. It's Cardalicchio, or as Dr. Kopp says.
Licchio.
There you go.
There you go, Dr. Licchio. Together, they are doing a really amazing masterclass today that I want to talk about sustained weight loss and being able to put weight loss together. They're also running a boot camp that's going to be coming up at the end of the month that I want to highly recommend. It was one of Dr. Irene's boot camps that helped alleviate a lot of my MS symptoms that medication could not. So this stuff really works. These guys really know what they're talking about. They're amazing coaches. So we'll talk about both of those. Let's talk about the master class that you're putting on today. And I'll let you start, Dr. Irene.
Absolutely. I have to get used to having waiting to see who's going to talk first here.
Right. Yeah.
I was ready to jump in, but then I said, no, I'm going to let Dr. Irene go first.
No, you go first. No, you go first.
Yeah, right.
Those at Abbott and Costello. Anyway, the point is, thanks so much for having us here, Bob. And I truly, truly appreciate your highlighting not just our Stress to Success Shift Institute's events and programs and offerings, but so many others as well. And I'm really looking forward to this regular series to do so, because as you know, we're on a mission to shift 7 billion lives, and directly or indirectly. So, and we know we don't have necessarily all the answers. So we want to highlight, as you do, the people that can make those major shifts for our audience. So today, Dr. Dan and I are putting on a free live masterclass that is called Retrain Your Brain to Reverse Weight Gain. And so the title basically says it all. And the reason why we decided to do this masterclass and the program that we'll be offering afterwards, the boot camp, is because Dr. Dan and I have both had our life experiences where, Dr. Dan was 50 pounds overweight, and despite being a college pro athlete, and he had a heart attack at age 37. My journey with weight was that I was one of those people that couldn't lose weight to save their lives, whether or not, I did everything right. I ate right. I exercised 6 days a week. I did everything all the experts said to do, all my training said to do. And I couldn't lose weight until I discovered what we're about to teach in this masterclass. And then I lost 40 pounds without trying. And that is the beauty of it, is that it's all scientifically proven. And it's just, we don't talk about it in conventional medicine, as an MD, we don't talk about it in medical school. It gets talked about more in holistic medicine, whole body medicine. Like Dr. Dan and I are also both doctors of chiropractic. And yet, even there, we tend to focus more on the physical. And the reality is, Dr. Dan and I realized that we need to help people retrain their brains before doing, like Dr. Dan is an amazing functional medicine provider, specializes in weight loss resistance and is an adjunct professor at University of Bridgeport. I got all that right, Dr. Dan?
All of that, yes.
Yeah, and more and more. And at the same time, we recognize that we need to lay that foundation before all of his amazing tools that he teaches can actually help.
And I think that's a great segue. Bob, thank you very much for having us on. I've listened to many coffees with Bob's, and I always find them interesting. There's always great information and great guests, so it's an honor and a privilege to be on today. And Dr. Irene, I think that you've just, had that drop the mic moment, because I find in my clinical practice that individuals, they need a change in the way they think to rewire your brain before you actually get into the weight loss. Because I could do all of the blood work and I can do all of the body comp and I can do all of that. I'm the blood work guy, and I can make the best recommendations for a particular diet or supplements or anything along those lines. And if they're not ready to go, they're not ready to go. And it becomes very difficult for them to follow a program of care. I always hear, Dr. Dan, I'm just so used to doing this, and I understand the blood work says this. I can't eat X, Y, and Z. So I got to take that out and I got to put something else in. And if they're not ready to go, they're not ready to go. And it becomes more difficult. I'm not a therapist and I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And it's a situation where when Dr. Irene and I were talking about this, rewiring your brain to get ready to lose the weight loss, to get ready to make the positive lifestyle changes is really a game changer. It's like a marriage made in heaven where we have to get you ready. And then it's just that much easier when we start blood work and we start diets and so forth. So it's really very interesting the way that this is all falling down. I mean, we have one individual that's lost 60 pounds so far. Over 60 pounds. And guess what? They're not even looking back. It's not even an issue. There's not that fluctuation where you lose 20 pounds, you gain a little bit back, you lose another 10 pounds, you gain a little bit back. What we're seeing clinically is that individuals are losing weight. They're energetic, no more brain fog. They're feeling great, looking good, feeling good, ought to be in a Hollywood type of a thing. And they're really rocking and rolling. I mean, right? All aspects of their life are doing better. Marriage, relationships with children and friends, doing better at work. It's very exciting, Dr. Irene and Bob. Very, very exciting.
Yeah, it's interesting. So traditionally, when you talk about weight loss, you get all these different fad diets that are out there, the sauerkraut soup diet or whatever, green tea diet. And then you get all these different supplements. So let's talk about supplements really quickly, right? You see the commercials all the time for, I think it's Hydroxycut, right? And when you really look at it, it's really not beneficial, and you shouldn't be taking in some of the things that they're selling out there. How do you get people to see beyond that?
Dr. Irene, would you like to have a stab at that one first?
Thank you. The idea that, humans want a magic pill. In this case, literally, right? Like they think that all I have to do is take a pill and my life is going to change. And one of the things that, Dr. Dan made a great point about being ready. We talk about being coachable, and we don't mean that in a negative way. We mean, are you coachable? Means, are you committed? Are you all in? And are you open to change, to changing? Because one of the biggest sabotage patterns that we see is, I don't want to change to have things change, right? In coaching speak, that's called the lottery syndrome. right? That's like, I don't want to do the work to make $1 million. I want to buy the magic ticket and win $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there's, and I'm not, again, judging. There's many reasons for this. And this goes beyond mindset. If mindset were the only issue, right, so many more people would have already successfully lost weight or made any other change in their lives, because this applies to all of it. The challenge is that it's at an unconscious level, which is why, unfortunately, many of our esteemed colleagues, even who have the functional medicine and the best nutrition programs and exercise programs out there, they're missing this crucial piece, and that is that at best they try and release those sabotage patterns at the conscious level, which is the mindset level. In other words, I choose to do this. Very, very, very important. I always say awareness is 80% of the battle and the solution. And at the same time, awareness is conscious. Your unconscious mind is what runs the show 99% of the time. And it's not logical, it's not rational, because all of that happens in your executive rock star team here in your prefrontal cortex, right? So your unconscious mind is literally your primitive mind, or as I more lovingly like to say, it's like got the maturity and the mentality of your 5-year-old self, right? And so there is no logic. It's all emotion, and it's all feeling, and it's all powerful, right? So what we teach when we talk about retraining your brain is really drilling down to the unconscious level and releasing every single block there is at the unconscious level to you releasing the weight. And there are so many, and we are going to be covering them in today's masterclass. And so I know it's coming up right after this. So if your listeners can't make it live, then still register, because we'll be running a replay this weekend, so that they'll still be able to watch and learn. Right, Dr. Dan?
Absolutely. And I want to jump in here because, Bob, thank you for bringing that up. That's an important point, because everybody's looking for this quick fix, right? And there's so many different products. And Dr. Irene, thank you, between conscious and unconscious, because I want to take this to a different level right now. Because if you're looking at a commercial at 2:00 in the morning, and it could be whatever product, there's always a very nice looking young man, and there's always a very nice looking young lady, right? So consciously, you're saying, I want to be like that. The aesthetics are just incredible, right? And so they take the product, and maybe they lose a couple of pounds. Maybe they don't lose a couple of pounds. But if you don't get to the root cause, if you don't get to that unconscious level to bring it to a conscious level so that you can follow a sustainable diet for the rest of your life, that is where this is all about. And that's what we're doing. Because I could tell you, I've been in the nutrition and functional medicine field before it even was functional medicine. I was in this field. And there were companies out there with these weight loss products, Bob, and they would have stimulants in them, right? So these stimulants, some of them are not even permitted. I won't even mention their names, because there was legal battles back in the day. They're not even permitted to use them anymore because of the side effects. I did in fact take one of a product that everybody was buying 25 years ago, and you can eat anything you want, right? So I had my lunch, I had a little can of Coke, caffeine. This had some extra caffeine in it. Next thing you know, guess what? I had a Nassau County cop in my office, and I was adjusting him, Dr. Irene, and I went down on him, fell down, right? And he said, what's going on? And I'm just kind of my hands are shaking. He took me to the hospital, right? He had to take me because I had so much caffeine in my system. How much is that going to get you to lose weight? How much is that going to get you to lose weight instead of doing it the appropriate way, right? I got a phone call 2 weeks ago from a figure pro who wants to get back on stage, Everybody wants to get back on stage today. You know, everybody wants to go back to their glory days when it comes to this.
Mhm.
And they have a product and they have a diet that all the individuals are thinking about following. And I said, no. You're going to be working out. You're going to be, 800 calories a day. It's not healthy for you. Getting to the unconscious level leads to the conscious level, right? And then we could take it from there. Pills, potions, lotions, they just don't work. And none of these products have sustainable business models where they're around forever. Because if it did, they would be around and they'd be making individuals, healthy. But it comes and it goes. All of these types of products.
Right. And you guys don't focus on that. What you're focusing on is helping people get internally set to do this, correct?
Correct. Dr.
Correct.
Irene works on the unconscious. I work on the conscious. I've been through Dr. Irene's program, just like you did, Bob, and I'm getting significant benefits. I come from, genetics holds the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger, right? Type of a thing. I have genetics that just doesn't, gaining weight, metabolic syndrome. It's just, and taking Dr. Irene's program, I'm not hangry. And Dr. Irene, you're going to love this. My heck is in check. my hunger, energy from appropriate sources, and cravings are in check. So it's not like it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm just getting done with some reports and I'm saying, ooh, I could go downstairs and I can crush some, fill in the blank, whatever you like. Mint chocolate chip ice cream. How's that? Well, it's not in the house to begin with, but if it was, I'm not looking to crush it. I'll have a nutrition shake instead, as I did last night, by the way. And I was all good. Yeah, thank you very much. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So I want to point out what we're in essence saying and in a nutshell for those of you who can't make the masterclass and don't feel it's only going to be about half an hour long with some time for Q&A afterwards. If you feel you don't have the time, which is another sabotage pattern, just know that we're not saying do this program and you're going to, in 8 weeks, you're going to lose 50 pounds without trying.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily, I can say from my own personal experience that when I released all of those unconscious blocks and retrained my brain, I lost 40 pounds without changing how I ate or how I exercised because I was already doing the right stuff on that score. And, it still took, 40 pounds, it's still 20 weeks, right? So, but at the same time, I couldn't lose weight to save my life until I made those internal changes. And as Dr. Dan said, what you will find is that number one, awareness is 80% of the battle. The solution, I could say that until the cows come home because it is truth. And you'll be getting these, oh, wow. Like those ahas that make you go, all right, now I see where I have been sabotaging without even realizing it, or where energy vampires have been sucking the life out of me. So of course I didn't feel like doing the work, and how stress has been sabotaging me in my weight loss efforts, despite doing everything right, and cravings. Right? In other words, the cravings get knocked down so that, again, you're not tempted by the comfort food and drinks and activities, whether it's snuggling up on a couch, surfing Netflix for 10 hours, right? With your, bag I like salt and vinegar chips. I don't know. It's a Canadian thing, I guess, but it's,
It could be a Canadian thing. I don't know.
it could be.
Although we do
And,
have that here in the States too, Dr. Irene.
but 20 years ago when I lived in the States, you guys didn't have salt and vinegar chips. I looked for them. Anyway, but back on track here. In other words, we're not saying, and that's the other part of it, is that we're not saying thou shalt do this or thou shalt not do that, right? This is not a diet where, we're going to say that it's one and done, right? There are some things that, based on testing, if you choose to go to the next level with our level 2 program that includes the functional nutrition with Dr. Dan, he will look and see, based on testing, these are foods that aren't good for you, right? And they're not healthy for you, maybe not the next person, but for you.
Mhm.
And so again, it'll be like, all right, for you to be the healthiest possible, those will be gone from your life. But at the same time, their lifestyle changes. That's the big thing, right? Is that we are setting our people up for a successful life,
Right.
not just to lose 20 pounds by doing this miracle diet or taking this miracle pill, and then you're good to go for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And you can go back.
I think
Right.
this is perfect, because Dr. Irene, what she does is she reveals the obstacles, corrects them, right? Positive lifestyle changes. As you were talking, Dr. Irene, I was taking notes, right? You have to put the effort into this. It just doesn't happen by you sitting
Right.
on the couch, right? And you have to be committed to it, because from our experience on the other side of all of this is individuals that have so much energy, that have so much passion for life and in all aspects of life, that they just feel really good. Not only are they feeling good and looking good, want to be in Hollywood, but they're functioning physiologically and biochemically better than what they did before, because those salt and vinegar chips
Miss Vicky's.
have processed foods, and we don't like that stuff, because you gain some weight, you get a lot of brain fog, you're not feeling good about yourself, you don't feel good about your life, and that just affects everything, right? It's just not, right, Bob? It's just not one thing, right? It affects everything. So it's just not sitting there on the couch watching Netflix. Oh, I really should go for a walk. Then you realize I'm late for work. I didn't get the project done. I'm arguing with my children. I'm arguing with my significant other, because you don't feel good about yourself. Let's be honest about it. You're just not, you just feel bad about who you are, and you're lashing out.
Well,
the
I
good
thought
news is we're going to correct that.
Yeah, one of the interesting things I think Dr. Irene said was referring to stress and how stress impacts you.
Oh,
And I have to say, I'm kind of living proof that the coaching she provides works. So I took a stress relief boot camp. It's over a year ago now, right? We did almost 2 years ago at this point. Because I was, working, and we were going through some things with the organization, and it was a very high stress moment, and I was having a hard time dealing with it. So in taking her coaching and following the teachings and being very repetitive about it and being very mindful about it, I started noticing that MS symptoms, I've had MS since 1998, that I had, that were not alleviated by the medication that I was taking, that the doctors just kind of said you kind of have to live with it, were starting to go away. Now they weren't disappearing, but the symptoms were beginning to lessen. The pain was beginning to lessen. And I think one of the things that I found so interesting and so fascinating and made me a total acolyte for Dr. Irene is that she said, well, of course it is. We remove the stress. Once you get rid of that stress, it stops having that negative impact on your body. And I think the same is said for overeating, for not eating the right things. We all tend to react to stress in different ways, right? And once you get to the root of that, how you're reacting to that stress and letting go of it, fantastic things just start to happen. And I'm living proof of that. So I'm so glad you brought that up.
Oh, Dr. Irene, I think Bob's next phase is food sensitivity testing and a wheat zoomer test. Oh my goodness. I
Oh,
think
what?
that's a wheat zoomer.
What's that?
We're gonna look at your gut. So there's two tests that I like to run.
Because I drink my coffee.
Yeah, well, you can drink you can drink Ganoderma mushroom coffee. Anyway, so the food sensitivity tests tell us what you should be eating and what you should be avoiding, because a lot of chronic diseases have a root cause in inflammation. When you're eating things that you shouldn't be eating, that causes that inflammatory process, and we don't know how that's going to manifest. We're all looking at the gut right now, Bob, because the gut, look to the gut for disease. That's the mantra right now. That wheat zoomer test will tell me what's going on in that gut, so that I can start making further recommendations to help out whatever that particular condition is. So get ready, Bob. Very exciting.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds very cool.
Yeah.
So in the master class that you guys are teaching in just about an hour, right? I think it's at 12:30 Eastern.
12:30.
12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central. DrIrene.life/masterclass. It's right here at the bottom of the screen. Please go register. Register even if you're not going to be able to attend a live, because when you register, you'll get the replay, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. And I got to say that I still go back to the classes that I took a year and a half ago and rewatch them, right? Because you have to keep yourself refreshed. I go back to the recordings. I use them all the time. So I'm, as a person who this has impacted in a very positive way, has had very great results. I want you guys to all sign up and attend. And if you can't attend, get that replay, because it's definitely going to help you.
You will not be disappointed. You're going to get some great information, and we're going to motivate, educate, and inspire you to a better lifestyle.
Awesome. I always say, one of the things I always say on LinkedIn, it takes one connection to change your life. And Dr. Irene, you've been that connection to change mine, and as well as you, Dr. Dan, for that matter. I'll even give you those props because you're kind of cool.
Sometimes, but once we do the food sensitivity and the wheat zoomer, I may be I can't be higher than Dr. Irene. So.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. As long as it doesn't take away from my occasional bourbon, I'll be happy.
We'll talk. You can have an occasional bourbon.
All right, there you go. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. And I recommend that everybody take the class and take the boot camp. I'm sure you guys will talk about the boot camp in your master class for sure. Yes. Too.
Absolutely.
Highly recommend it. People are probably sick of me doing that, but that's okay. I don't mind. I'll beat that drum all day long, because I really do. I think this is important. Yeah. You guys are providing life-saving, life-changing coaching here, and people need to take advantage of that.
Thanks so much, Bob.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Good luck at the master class, and we'll talk again. Join us next Tuesday. Join Dr. Irene next Tuesday and next Thursday. I don't know who we're going to have yet. We'll talk about that later, and look for the post on LinkedIn.